you can tell or not, there's the queen right there. Hey, welcome back to the channel, everybody. So it is January 24th, just about 3 in the afternoon, and if I am out in the bee yard without my jacket, that means I am not concerned about getting stung. So it is 60 degrees and 33% humidity. However, this morning at about 7:30, it was 24 degrees. And the reason I'm out here is because if you haven't been watching the last few videos, and if you can't tell by the amount of deep boxes that are turned up on their side here, we have been losing hives left and right this winter. And unfortunately, it looks like we may have lost another. So I'm gonna pop the top on number 6. I did see a bee just go in, but I think it's getting robbed out at this point very slowly. Number 1, the hive in the first position here, seems to have some decent activity. Bees are coming and going, bringing some pollen. But number 6, over the last few days, I have not seen much activity at all. And I'm thinking they may have died out. Now, whether that's due to the cold snaps we have coming through or not, lack of food, I'm not too sure. So let's open up that hive and see how they're looking. I was really hoping to enter the spring with at least 2 hives to where I can make some splits, but it looks like that might not be the case. But either way, let's get into it real quick and see what we can tell. All right, here we go. I got 2 5-gallon buckets over here, mainly so I can recover any candy board food or 2-to-1 feed I gave them about a week or 2 ago. So somebody commented on a previous video if I think moisture was an issue, and I would not say so. I mean, there's some mildew, a little mildew, but really not much moisture at all. That's not a good sign either. You got some dead bees in the top box there, well, between the covers at least. Yeah, not looking good. Got some dead bees on the candy board. And it looks like absolutely no movement. And some more dead bees over here. Let's see if we can find the queen. But this is interesting. I don't know if you can tell or not, but I topped off the 1-gallon division board feeders, and it looks like they barely touched that. And that was the other bucket I brought out here, was to salvage any of the feed. I may have said that initially, I'm not sure. Yeah, I got food. Oh, wow. Oh yeah, that's right. I remember getting into this hive a week or 2 ago. That's kind of strange. I mean, strange to me at least. Look at this food they have. Look at the food on that frame. And that's wet. So maybe they were using some of the food I gave them, or finding something in bloom. But they definitely, those bees froze. It looks like, let me see, let me move a few frames around. It looks like the cluster was over here between, so this is an 8 frame, 8, 7, 6, 5, and 6, and I'll show y'all. I don't know if that's gonna come up or not. But it looks like the cluster may have been here. In fact, they had some brood too. It looks like they may have just fell to the bottom board. Yeah, that sucks. They had brood too, and look at that. Actually, looks like they may have had some emerging brood. Huh. Well, with the amount of food they have, I'm just going to do the same and set the top box aside and just let the last hive just rob it out. Alright, let me put the frames back and then I'll get into the bottom board, show you all that, and see if we can determine anything. Just show you all a first look at the few bees on the bottom board. Pretty sure they had a marked queen. I don't necessarily see any remnants of her. Yeah, it's a shame. It's been a rough winter. Alright, let me clean this up. Salvaging some of the 2-to-1 feed, and then I have another bucket to salvage the candy board. Well, this is super interesting to me and slightly odd, if you can tell or not. There's the queen right there. So that's a bit different to find her up entering the candy board. I've never seen that before. Alright folks, well there you have it. Lost another one. However, try to make the most of it, and like I was saying before, they have, I think they have a decent amount of food in that deep box, so I'm sure hive number 1 will be over here tomorrow. The temperature is going to be in the mid-60s with some rain, but I have no doubt they'll find that and rob it out pretty quickly. And then I set aside, I'll show you, I set aside the queen after finding her, as y'all saw on some of that wire mesh entering the candy board, which is still pretty odd. I've never seen anything like that before. If anybody's watching this and you've experienced something like that, please feel free to leave a comment on what your thoughts are. But as some of y'all know, not everything in beekeeping is a total loss. For instance, again, the other bees will find the food and rob it out, so that'll help that colony. And then even with that queen, finding that queen, I'm gonna put her into a medicine jar or just some kind of container and freeze her, and then come spring when it's time to catch swarms, I'll put some rubbing alcohol, mash her up and everything. And I read this years ago somewhere, basically by doing so you can create your own swarm lure or lure with the queen's pheromones by doing exactly what I just said. Taking a queen, calling a queen if you got one that's failing, in some kind of container with some alcohol, and then essentially you can make your own swarm lure. So I'll try that for the first time this spring, now that I have a queen that I salvaged and remembered to do so, and see if that works any better than the Walmart lemongrass oil, which actually works pretty darn well. I think an ounce, it's either an ounce or a half ounce, costs about $5 to $7. A lot more, well, a lot less expensive than Swarm Commander, which I think is like 20 bucks a jar, which people have really good results with that. But if you're trying to do stuff on the cheap, the lemongrass oil from Walmart actually works quite well. And if you haven't watched any of our swarm videos, we have a playlist. Check that out. That is the exact oil I use for our swarm traps, and we've caught a few swarms over the years. But yeah, one last look at the bee yard. We are literally down to one. This yard was full last year, and this is just kind of how things go. So that's life. Probably get a few comments about that comment, but it's hard to take care of the bees sometimes, unfortunately, and I hate to say that. I try my best, but this year has been a struggle. Quick look at the yard from the previous video, doing some expansion and some brush clearing. Hey, look, a bee that's not dead. Come on, number one, you can make it. 60 more days. If you haven't checked out the previous inspection video, I think from early January or so, they have definitely moved up in the top box. In fact, I found the queen in the top box. I found this queen too, and they were raising brood and everything and had food, so I'm not sure what happened. But that's it for today. Thanks for watching, everybody. Catch you next time. Hopefully the next video I make is on a nice warm day as I'm getting into number one, and or in the spring as number one has survived all the way till then. All right, see y'all next time. All right, just a quick follow-on video. So it didn't take too long to get some of the 2-to-1 bottled up. That's a 1/2 gallon mason jar feeder, queen excluder, as some of y'all will recognize, and it's a very simple open feeding method. And then I ended up bottling another 1/2 gallon of 2-to-1, and I'm gonna situate that over here, I think in the same way. Probably put a queen excluder on top of these 2 deep boxes right next to the deep box that was number 6. So my thought is, if the bees come over here and find the deep, they should also be able to find the 2-to-1 being open fed. And that is exactly what I'm talking about. There you have it. Very simple method to open feeding. I'll check on it in a day or two. Like I said earlier, tomorrow's weather, even though we have about 70% chance of rain, it's going to be in the mid-60s, and the bees are typically flying by then. Number one was flying a little bit, not too much activity, as it's right around 60 degrees currently. But yeah, I'll check on it tomorrow. I'll check on that feeder and the other feeder and just keep y'all posted. Can't wait for the next 60 days to go by, especially if that last hive survives. It's gonna get split heavily. I don't think it knows that yet, but sharing that with y'all. All right, everybody, for real this time.